You know, I put the video up on our Facebook and I tweeted it out, which is the one you're most famous for, right?
Yeah.
And you just shot that a few months ago, is that right?
Yeah. Well, we actually shot it longer, but it came out in December.
Okay.
So we shot it a while back, but in December is when I released it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that piece? Because it's pretty powerful. I watched it like weeks ago, and then I watched it again today, and I kept going back, kept rewinding it, you know, and trying to listen to some of the things you were saying. So for people that haven't seen it, what's that all about?
It's basically a lot of people when when you do something as an artist, you never actually understand the gravity of how it would really affect people. So when I wrote it, it wasn't really me trying to highlight any specific point to just try and make some kind of statements. It was me just speaking on my experience, so how I personally felt about the school institution. Obviously, it resonated with a lot of people, but initially when I did write it, that's just a summary of my whole school experience and everything that I've seen coming out of the school system and relating it to the society around me. So when I did write it, it wasn't me saying, oh, everybody drop out of school, everybody look at what... It was just me writing from inside me as an artist, the same way someone would just paint a picture and the world perceived it how they wanted to perceive it. So that's essentially what that was when I actually created it. And it was just about me being in school. You know, you spend a lot of years in school and you're always told that when you come out of school, there's a notion that life will be perfect, especially when you come from an African background. That's like the holy grail to get a degree. So when I actually did get the degree and then I looked around and life wasn't panning out how it was supposed to be, there was a lot of pent up frustration for a long time. But then it opened my eyes to the world as well. So that's where the inspiration for the piece came from, just that experience of my life.
And one of the things you talk about in that piece is all the pressure you get from your family, right? It's like not only the rest of the world is telling you your degree is your ticket, but it's like your family, because it's not only your ticket, but it makes them proud of you, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain like what you were saying there?
Like taking it back to being from a typical African background. Obviously, I was raised in London, but there's always this kind of perception that people who have degrees are better in a sense. You're held in a higher esteem. So for parents, for a child to have a degree, that's the ultimate accomplishment. Doesn't matter how rich you are, what situation you're in. It's just so they can tell their friends, or they can have that poster on the wall of you graduating.
Right.
That's what's important. You see I saw a lot of my friends that they could be struggling, they could have no job. I know someone who hasn't worked since they graduated, probably like 4 years, but the fact that they have a degree kind of qualifies them. And for me, that was kind of it's not a real success. It's superficial. Obviously, when you do get your degree and you do get a job and you're successful, that kind of counts for something. But just the fact that you've done something, just gain the label, for me, is superficial kind of success, as opposed to actually attaining something after it. So yeah, that's what I mean when I say that your family is kind of, there's a lot of pressure for them. Just, it's more to reflect on them, to say that I've raised him well, he done this, and that's the end of it.
Right. It's almost selfish.
Yeah, it's to an extent. It really is. I believe it is to an extent. But as a child, there's always that pressure, and you don't want to let your family down.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of like a head game in itself. And in the video, you drop names like Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Oprah, Zuckerberg, Gates, Spielberg. As you were saying, that none of these guys actually had degrees.
Yeah, actually, I did actually make a mistake in mentioning Oprah.
Oh, Oprah has,
because she does have a degree,
like
which was highlighted. Which was highlighted so clearly in the Huffington Post. But when I was doing my research, I didn't find that she had a degree. But yeah, the other individuals, what I was mentioning is obviously I wasn't advocating that you don't need to get a degree to be successful. What I was showing was providing examples of outliers, or people who have been successful without having a degree, and they're extremely successful, meaning that you should open up your mind to the alternative forms of success, as opposed to the ones dictated to you by society. And that's why I thought I'd reference those examples. And I got a lot of stick because people said these are just individuals. But what I wanted to say is that if I didn't mention individuals, that people that are familiar or popular, the point wouldn't be evidence. I could say like Tommy down the street is successful without a degree, but who's Tommy? You know what I mean? Hence why I did pick those particular individuals. And I highlighted Steve Jobs because they've made significant changes in this world that we're living in at the moment.
Yeah, and as an artist, you have to make your point.
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
You're going to offend some people, aren't you?
You can never make anyone happy. I realized that a long time ago. If you're trying to make everyone happy, that's how you fail, so yeah.
And what's your educational history? Because it's interesting, because I read that you have a law degree.
Yeah.
And then after that video, you kind of look at you and you're really questioning the whole institution of education. And what's your history?
I